Have you ever paused for a moment in the middle of your busy day and asked yourself, why is this happening to me? Maybe you've lost someone you loved deeply. Maybe a dream that once felt so close suddenly vanished. Or maybe life surprised you with something so unexpected, a loss, a blessing, a turning point, that it shook the very ground beneath your feet. Most of us spend our lives believing that things just happen, randomly, without meaning. We call it luck, fate, coincidence. We think we are passengers in a world spinning beyond our control. But what if nothing in your life is random? What if every joy and heartbreak, every success and disappointment is a thread, woven perfectly into the tapestry of your soul's evolution? That's one of the most profound teachings of Buddhist wisdom. Everything happens for a reason, not in the sense of reward or punishment, but as a mirror, showing us what we need to understand, release, and awaken to. When we begin to see life through this lens, the chaos doesn't disappear, but our relationship with it transforms. We stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" The river of change. The first law that guides this path is impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. The seasons shift. Flowers bloom and fade. Rivers rise and fall. The sun sets, and night returns to dawn. Everything, absolutely everything, is in motion. Even you. The person you were 5 years ago, or even yesterday, is gone. Your thoughts have changed. Your heart has evolved. Your spirit has learned. Impermanence, anicca, is not meant to make us sad. It's meant to set us free, because suffering begins the moment we try to make the temporary permanent. We want joy to stay. We want people to remain the same. We want youth to last, success to never end, and love to always feel the way it did at first. But life doesn't freeze for anyone. It flows, endlessly, beautifully, like a river. The more we cling, the more we suffer. The more we trust the flow, the more peace we find. Lessons from nature. If you ever doubt the wisdom of impermanence, look to nature. The tree does not resist autumn when its leaves begin to fall. It doesn't cling to what is dying. It lets go, knowing that loss is part of renewal. The sky does not mourn the clouds as they drift away. It remains vast, infinite, unchanged beneath their passing. Nature teaches us what we forget, that endings are not enemies. They are transitions, and so it is with us. Every ending, every goodbye, every heartbreak, every failure is not the end of life's story, but a turning of the page. When we resist change, we fight the very rhythm that sustains existence. But when we surrender to it, we rediscover harmony. The truth about suffering. Buddhism begins not by avoiding pain, but by understanding it. The Buddha's first insight after awakening was simple and revolutionary. Life includes suffering. We all experience it: loss, disappointment, longing, fear. But suffering itself is not the problem. The problem is our relationship to it. We resist, we cling, we build walls against what hurts us. And in doing so, we keep the wound open. Suffering is not here to destroy us. It is here to awaken us. The story of the lamp. There's an old story about a man walking through a dark forest with a broken lamp. He cursed the darkness, angry that he couldn't see the way ahead. Then a wise monk passed by and said, "Why curse the dark when the lamp was meant to show you where you are?" The man realized that even though the lamp was cracked, its small light still illuminated each step. He didn't need to see the entire path, only the next few feet. That's how suffering works. It cracks the shell of illusion so that light can enter. Through pain, we learn humility, patience, compassion, and presence. Without the darkness, we would never value the light. The nature of cause and effect. Every experience, pleasant or painful, arises from causes, from seeds we've planted knowingly or unknowingly. This is the law of karma, the universal principle of cause and effect. Karma is not punishment or destiny. It is simply energy returning to its source. Every thought, word, and action plants a seed, and each seed bears fruit in its own time. What we experience today is often the harvest of what we sowed yesterday, and what we do today becomes tomorrow's soil. When you understand this, you stop living as a victim of fate. You begin to live as a conscious gardener of your own life. The seeds of our intentions. If you plant seeds of anger, you cannot expect peace to bloom. If you plant seeds of love, forgiveness, and kindness, your garden will flourish. This truth is both simple and powerful. Your life grows from your intentions. But here's the beauty. The past does not trap you. No matter what you've planted before, you can begin again right now. Every breath, every choice is a new seed. Karma is not about what you deserve. It's about what you create. When you choose compassion over anger, patience over frustration, generosity over fear, you are rewriting your destiny in that very moment. You are creating a different future, one breath at a time. The freedom of responsibility. There is a quiet strength that comes when you realize you are not being punished by life. You are being guided by it. Every challenge is a mirror, showing you the parts of yourself that still need to grow. Every heartbreak is a teacher, reminding you of the impermanence of all things. Every loss is a lesson in love, that what truly matters cannot be taken away. This understanding doesn't make life painless, but it makes it meaningful. When you accept the law of cause and effect, you stop asking for a perfect life. You start asking for a conscious one. And in that shift, from control to awareness, from blame to understanding, you find liberation. When you begin to live with awareness, you stop moving through life blindly. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop asking life to bend around your desires and instead learn to dance with it. This is the essence of wisdom. Not to control, but to understand. Not to demand, but to listen. Because everything that happens, even the things you wish had not, carries within it the seed of awakening. The quiet lesson of the mirror. Life is always mirroring you. It reflects what you carry within. If you meet anger everywhere, perhaps it's showing you the anger inside you that still needs healing. If you feel unseen, maybe it's an invitation to see yourself more clearly. If you keep facing the same challenges, perhaps life is repeating the lesson until it's fully learned. Karma isn't cruel. It's compassionate. It will keep bringing you back to the same lesson again and again until you meet it with understanding instead of resistance. Once the lesson is learned, the cycle breaks, and when that happens, the same situation that used to cause pain becomes a teacher you now thank. The gift of awareness. Awareness is the most powerful force in the universe because it changes everything it touches. When you become aware of your patterns, you begin to dissolve them. When you become aware of your fears, you stop being ruled by them. When you become aware of your pain, you stop projecting it onto others. This is what it means to wake up, not to escape the world, but to finally see it clearly. The light of awareness transforms everything. It doesn't fix the past, but it illuminates it. It doesn't erase suffering, but it reveals its meaning. The nature of the mind. The human mind is a storyteller. It clings to the past, worries about the future, and rarely rests in the truth of now. It tells you, you should have done better. It whispers, what if something goes wrong? It distracts you with endless noise, comparing, analyzing, regretting. But beneath that noise, there is something deeper, a stillness that does not come and go. That stillness is your true nature. It is the space between your thoughts. It is the awareness that notices everything, but is untouched by anything. When you learn to rest in that stillness, peace arises naturally. The story of the storm. There was once a young monk who asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find peace when the world is so chaotic?" The master took him outside during a raging storm. The wind howled, rain fell in sheets, trees bent under its weight. Then the master pointed to the sky and said, "Above the storm, the sky is still blue." That's what awareness is. It doesn't stop the storms. It reminds you that you are the sky, not the clouds. Your thoughts, emotions, and experiences pass through you like weather. But your essence, awareness itself, remains vast and unshaken. The practice of presence. So how do we return to that stillness when the mind won't stop moving? We start small. Take one conscious breath. Feel it enter. Feel it leave. Do it again. Each breath is an anchor. Each moment of awareness is a homecoming. You don't have to meditate for hours or retreat from the world. Mindfulness is not about withdrawing from life. It's about being fully alive in it. Wash the dishes, but truly wash them. Listen to someone, but truly listen. When you walk, just walk. When you breathe, just breathe. In these simple acts of presence, life begins to reveal its beauty again. Healing the heart through awareness. When we are not present, we react from pain. We lash out, withdraw, or cling, driven by wounds we haven't yet seen. But when we bring awareness to our pain, something miraculous happens. It begins to soften. You don't have to fix it, only to see it. Because what is seen with love begins to heal on its own. Pain that is resisted becomes suffering. Pain that is seen becomes wisdom. And that is how awareness transforms our hearts, not by erasing our scars, but by teaching us to wear them with grace. The path of compassion. When you start to see your own suffering clearly, something opens inside you. Compassion. You begin to understand that everyone is fighting invisible battles. You realize that the person who hurt you is also wounded, that the stranger who seems cold might be carrying a quiet grief. This doesn't mean allowing harm or forgetting boundaries. It means choosing to see with the eyes of understanding instead of judgment. Compassion doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise, because it allows you to love without illusions. The circle of understanding. The more you understand yourself, the more you understand others. And the more you understand others, the more peace you bring into the world. Buddhism teaches that compassion is not separate from wisdom. They are two wings of the same bird. One without the other cannot fly. Wisdom sees the truth of life. Compassion feels it. Together they carry us beyond fear, beyond anger, beyond separation, into the boundless heart that connects all beings. The quiet revolution. Within real transformation doesn't happen in grand gestures. It happens quietly, in moments of awareness and kindness. It happens when you pause before reacting, when you forgive instead of holding on, when you breathe instead of breaking. That's the real revolution, the one that happens inside. And when enough hearts awaken in this way, the whole world begins to heal. There's a moment in everyone's life when compassion stops being an idea and becomes a living force. It might happen when you hold the hand of someone in pain, or when you realize that forgiveness is the only thing that can set you free. It's the instant when love ceases to be a word and becomes an action. Compassion is the heart of awakening. It is the bridge between understanding and peace. To live with compassion is to live with an open heart, even when it hurts. It's to say, I choose to see the humanity in others, even when they cannot see it themselves. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood virtues. People often think it means forgetting or excusing what was done. But true forgiveness is something else entirely. Forgiveness is the act of releasing the poison from your own heart. It's setting yourself free from the prison of resentment. When we hold on to anger, we keep drinking from the cup of pain, hoping the other person will taste it. But they don't. Only we do. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was right. It means you're no longer willing to let it define your peace. The story of the two monks. Two monks were walking by a river when they saw a woman struggling to cross. One monk lifted her and carried her safely to the other side. Hours later, the other monk said angrily, "You know we're not supposed to touch women. Why did you carry her?" The first monk smiled and replied, "I set her down hours ago, but it seems you're still carrying her. We do the same. We carry old grudges, old pain, old anger, long after the moment has passed. We think we've moved on, but inside, we're still holding the weight. Forgiveness is putting the burden down. It's remembering that you cannot walk freely while carrying stones in your heart." The courage to let go. Forgiveness takes courage because it feels like surrender. Our ego wants justice, control, closure. But forgiveness is not weakness. It is the strength to choose peace over pride. It's saying, "What you did hurt me, but I will not let it destroy who I am." It's letting love be stronger than the story of your pain. When we forgive, we don't change the past. We change the way it lives within us. Healing through gratitude. After forgiveness comes gratitude. The realization that every experience, even the painful ones, helped you grow. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means recognizing the hidden blessings that hardship leaves behind. Think of the people who hurt you. Didn't they teach you boundaries? Think of the moments that broke you. Didn't they teach you resilience? Think of the losses you mourned. Didn't they teach you what truly matters? Gratitude turns wounds into wisdom and memories into teachers. The practice of seeing beauty. It's easy to be grateful when life is gentle. The real practice begins when things fall apart. Can you look at a storm and still see the rain nourishing the earth? Can you sit in darkness and still trust that the dawn will come? Gratitude is a way of seeing, not with the eyes, but with the heart. Every breath is a gift. Every sunrise, a reminder that life renews itself endlessly. When we live this way, happiness stops being something we chase. It becomes something we notice. The story of the blind man. A blind man sat by the road with a sign that read, "I am blind, please help." Few people stopped. One day, a stranger rewrote his sign. Now it said, "It's a beautiful day, and I can't see it." Suddenly, people began to stop, to give, to speak kindly. Nothing had changed, except perception. The man was still blind. The day was still the same, but gratitude had opened the hearts of others. Gratitude changes the way we see, and in doing so, it changes the world around us. Living with open hands. To live with gratitude is to live with open hands, not clutching, not demanding, simply receiving. When we cling, we suffer. When we open, we flow. The open hand is strong yet soft. It welcomes life as it comes and lets it go when it must. This is not indifference, it's trust. Trust that life, in its wisdom, always gives us what we need to evolve. The art of detachment. Detachment does not mean not caring. It means caring deeply, without chains. To be detached is to love freely, to give without expecting, to live without fear of losing. It's saying, "I will love this moment completely, and I will let it go when it passes." When we cling, we suffer because we want things to stay the same. But when we let go, we create space for life to move. Detachment is not coldness, it's maturity of the heart. It's love without possession, joy without dependence, peace without conditions. The story of the monk and the cup. A monk once held up a simple clay cup. He said, "To me, this cup is already broken. Someday it will shatter. Knowing this, I enjoy it fully now. Every time I drink from it, I appreciate its beauty. When it breaks, I will still smile, because I knew it was never mine to keep." This is the essence of detachment: to cherish fully and to release freely. Everything we love is temporary, but that doesn't make it meaningless. In fact, it makes it sacred. The more we learn to let go, the more we can truly hold life, not with fear, but with grace. Letting go is not losing. It's allowing life to move through you without resistance. When you hold a handful of sand too tightly, it slips through your fingers. But when you open your hand, it stays, softly resting in your palm. That's what life asks of us. Not to control it, but to trust it. We lose peace, not because life is cruel, but because we cling to what is always meant to change. Freedom is born the moment you stop grasping, the lightness of being. Imagine walking through life carrying a heavy backpack, regrets, attachments, expectations, fear. Each step becomes harder, each breath shorter. Now imagine setting that backpack down. The air feels different, the sky looks wider, your body lighter. This is the feeling of detachment, not emptiness, but release. When you stop clinging to what must pass, you make room for what is meant to come. Detachment creates space, and in that space, peace blooms. The wisdom of silence. Once the noise of attachment fades, silence begins to speak. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of awareness. It's the quiet voice that says, "Be still. Everything you need is already here." We live in a world addicted to noise, screens, opinions, distractions. But the truth we are seeking never shouts. It whispers. It lives in the pauses between our thoughts, in the breath between words, in the stillness beneath movement. When you allow yourself to be silent, you don't become empty, you become full. The story of the musician. A student once asked a Zen master, "How can I find peace?" The master replied, "How do you tune your instrument?" The student said, "Not too tight, not too loose." The master smiled. "Exactly. That's how you find peace. Peace is not in perfection, it's in balance." Silence teaches us that balance. When the mind is too tense, it breaks. When it's too slack, it loses purpose. But when it's tuned just right, alert yet relaxed, harmony arises. The medicine of stillness. Stillness heals in ways words cannot. It slows the racing heart, quiets the restless mind, and reminds the soul that it was never broken. When you sit in stillness, not to escape, but to truly be, you begin to see the truth of things. Thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall, sounds appear and fade, and through it all, something remains constant: awareness itself. That awareness is not something you create, it is who you already are. Meeting yourself in silence. In the stillness, you meet the parts of yourself you've ignored. The child who still aches for love, the heart that never fully healed, the voice that's been silenced by fear. Silence doesn't hide them, it invites them to speak. And as you listen, you begin to realize, healing is not about fixing what's broken, but about embracing what's been forgotten. When you sit in silence, you're not doing nothing. You're finally coming home. The depth of awareness. Awareness is the light that reveals everything, even your shadows. Many people fear silence because it shows them what they've been running from. But it's only in that seeing that freedom begins. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. You cannot release what you do not acknowledge. So instead of fearing silence, enter it like a temple, with reverence. Because it is there that the voice of truth can finally be heard, living as the sky. Imagine your life as the sky. Your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences, they are the clouds passing through. Sometimes the clouds are dark, heavy with rain. Sometimes they are light, glowing with sunlight. But the sky never disappears. It never fights the clouds. It simply allows them to pass. You are that sky. Vast, unchanging awareness beneath everything that changes. When you remember this, life's storms lose their power to destroy you. You stop identifying with the weather and begin resting in the space that holds it all, from silence to insight. The more you rest in awareness, the more you begin to see clearly. You see how every thought arises and falls on its own. You see how emotions come like waves, strong but impermanent. You see that peace was never something to find, but something you forgot to notice. This is the gift of silence, clarity, and from clarity comes wisdom. When you are still enough to listen, life reveals its lessons without words. You begin to move through the world with a quiet confidence, guided not by fear or desire, but by understanding, the journey within. At some point, you realize that the journey you've been taking was never outward. It was inward all along. All the searching, striving, chasing, it was only leading you back to yourself. The peace you've been looking for is not hidden in a temple or mountain. It's in your breath. It's in your awareness. It's in the silent space behind your thoughts. When you come home to that truth, the endless seeking stops, and what remains is stillness, alive, radiant, whole. The deeper you walk into stillness, the clearer life becomes. You start to see that everything, joy, sorrow, success, loss, was never against you. It was guiding you. You begin to sense a quiet intelligence moving through all things, through nature, through time, through you. An invisible current that has been shaping every step of your path, even the ones that felt like mistakes. And there are no wasted moments. Every tear has watered the seed of wisdom within you. Every heartbreak has carved space for love to enter more deeply. Every ending has prepared you for a new beginning. When you finally see that, gratitude arises naturally, not as a practice, but as a way of being. The river of gratitude. Gratitude is not just saying thank you. It's a way of seeing. It's realizing that life owes us nothing and yet gives us everything. That the air we breathe, the ground we walk on, the people who cross our path, all of it is a miracle. Gratitude transforms the ordinary into the sacred. It turns daily life into meditation. It turns pain into understanding and confusion into clarity. You begin to thank even the storms because they showed you your strength. You thank the darkness because it helped you notice the light. When you live with gratitude, even the smallest things, a smile, a sunrise, a shared silence, feel infinite. The story of the old monk. A young man once asked an old monk, "Master, how can I find happiness?" The monk handed him a cup of water and said, "Go and sit by the river. Each time you drink, give thanks. Do this until you understand." The young man thought the task was too simple, but he obeyed. Days passed. He sat by the river, drinking, giving thanks, for the cold water, for the breeze, for the sound of flowing life. One morning, as he watched the sunrise shimmer on the surface of the river, tears filled his eyes. He finally understood. Happiness had been there all along, not in the things he wanted, but in the awareness of what he already had. Gratitude opens the heart to the richness of the present, from gratitude to wisdom. When you start seeing life as a teacher, gratitude becomes your natural response to everything. You thank the lessons even when they hurt. You thank the endings because they make way for beginnings. You thank impermanence because it reminds you to love deeply while you can. Gratitude makes you humble. It dissolves the illusion of control and teaches you to trust the flow. You realize you don't own anything, not even your next breath. And strangely, that realization doesn't bring fear. It brings peace. Because when you stop grasping, you start receiving. The wisdom of acceptance. Acceptance is not giving up. It's waking up. It's the recognition that fighting with reality only creates more suffering. When we stop saying, "This shouldn't be happening," and instead whisper, "This is happening," something shifts inside. A weight falls away. The struggle ends. Acceptance doesn't mean you like everything that happens. It means you stop wasting your life resisting what already is, and in that acceptance, you find the strength to respond, wisely, compassionately, and clearly. The story of the stonecutter. There was once a stonecutter who envied the lives of others. One day he wished to become a rich merchant, and magically he did. Then he saw a powerful prince and wished to become him. Again, his wish was granted. But then the prince felt weak under the burning sun and wished to become the sun. So he became the sun, until one day a cloud blocked his light. So he wished to be the cloud. Then the wind pushed him away, and he wished to be the wind. But the wind, too, met its master when it struck against a mountain that would not move. And in that moment, the stonecutter realized the mountain was what he had been all along. He laughed, and he was content. The story reminds us that true peace is not found in becoming something else, but in accepting what we already are. The strength in surrender. When you stop fighting life, you stop losing energy to resistance. That energy becomes clarity, creativity, compassion. Surrender doesn't mean weakness. It means trust. It means saying, even if I don't understand this now, I trust that it has purpose. It's choosing to flow with the river instead of clinging to the rocks. Every challenge you face carries a hidden seed of growth. When you surrender, you give that seed space to bloom. And as it blooms, you realize life was never against you. It was sculpting you, patiently, gently, perfectly, into who you were meant to become. The quiet transformation. You don't awaken all at once. It happens in small, quiet moments, in the pause before reacting, in the breath you take instead of shouting, in the forgiveness that softens the ache in your chest, in the gratitude that floods you when you watch the sun set. Enlightenment is not a lightning strike. It's a gradual dawn. Each act of awareness, each moment of compassion, each breath of acceptance adds light to the horizon of your soul. And one day, without even realizing it, you find that the dawn has come. Coming home. The spiritual journey is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. Beneath the fears, the doubts, the stories, there is a vast and peaceful awareness untouched by time or pain. That is your true home, and no matter how far you wander, you can always return, in this very moment, through a single conscious breath. The moment you realize that peace is not something you must chase, but something you already carry inside. Everything changes. You stop searching for it in possessions, achievements, or relationships. You stop waiting for a future moment to make you complete. You simply begin to live, fully, freely, consciously. This is the path of awakening. It is not a destination, but a way of walking. Each step you take with awareness becomes sacred. Each breath you take with gratitude becomes prayer. Each act of kindness becomes meditation in motion. You discover that spirituality is not separate from life. It is life, seen clearly, lived deeply, and loved wholly. The web of connection. As you awaken, you begin to see the invisible threads that connect all beings. No one exists in isolation. Every action, every word, every thought ripples outward, touching lives you will never meet. When you speak with love, you heal more than you realize. When you act with kindness, you change more than you see. Even your silent prayers and intentions shape the energy of the world around you. We are not separate drops of water. We are the ocean, momentarily taking form. When you harm another, you harm yourself. When you bless another, you bless yourself. This understanding is the heart of compassion. Compassion in action. Compassion is not a soft emotion. It is fierce, courageous love. It's standing in the fire of another's pain without running away. It's listening when it would be easier to judge. It's holding space when it would be easier to walk away. True compassion doesn't mean fixing others. It means being fully present with them. It's looking into someone's eyes and saying, "I see your suffering, and I'm here with you." Sometimes that's all the healing a person needs, to be seen, truly seen. The story of the wounded healer. There's a legend that says every true healer carries a wound. The deeper the wound, the greater their capacity to heal, because only those who have known pain can truly sit beside another's suffering without turning away. The same is true for you. The pain you've endured has not made you weaker. It has made you capable of great compassion. When you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "How can this help others?" your wounds become medicine. You transform from a victim of life to a vessel of healing. The practice of loving kindness. In Buddhist tradition, there is a practice called metta, loving kindness meditation. It begins simply, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be at peace." Then it extends outward. "May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at peace." And further still, "May all beings, seen and unseen, near and far, be happy, healthy, and at peace." When you repeat these words sincerely, your heart begins to soften. The walls between me and them start to dissolve. You begin to see the truth. There was never separation to begin with. The power of a gentle heart. In a world that glorifies strength and success, gentleness becomes a revolutionary act. To stay kind when others are cruel, to remain open when the world closes. That is true power. Gentleness is not weakness. It is the quiet strength of a heart that refuses to harden. It is the voice that says, "No matter what the world becomes, I will still choose love." And each time you choose love over fear, you light a candle in the darkness, one that may guide others home without you ever knowing it. The ocean of awareness. The more your heart opens, the more you begin to feel the vastness of existence. You realize that awareness is not confined to your body or your mind. It is infinite. When you sit quietly, breathing, watching, you sense that the same life flowing through you flows through everything. The same consciousness that beats your heart, stirs the wind, moves the stars, and gives birth to the morning light. You are not a small wave struggling to survive in an indifferent ocean. You are the ocean, momentarily appearing as a wave. This realization is not intellectual. It's felt. It's a remembering, a return to unity. The end of separation. When you awaken to this unity, fear begins to dissolve. You stop asking, "What's in it for me?" You stop chasing approval or competing for worth. You stop needing to win because you no longer see anyone as your opponent. In that awareness, love flows naturally, not as emotion, but as presence. You no longer do compassion. You are compassion. You no longer practice mindfulness. You are mindfulness. You no longer seek peace. You are peace itself. The journey turns inward until the seeker disappears and only silence remains, alive, radiant, eternal. The story of the mirror. Lake. There is a lake in the mountains so clear that it reflects the sky perfectly. People who come to it seeking their reflection can see every detail, the clouds, the sun, even the stars at night. But if they throw a stone into the water, the reflection shatters into ripples. Our mind is that lake. When it is disturbed by desires, fears, and judgments, it cannot reflect truth. But when it becomes still, we see reality as it is, unfiltered, unbroken, beautiful. You don't have to change the sky to see clearly. You only have to calm the lake. Living from the heart. The awakened life is not about escaping the world. It's about seeing it through the eyes of love. It's walking through chaos without losing your calm. It's speaking truth without cruelty. It's holding pain without letting it harden you. And most of all, it's realizing that awakening is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of truly living. When you begin to live from the heart, life becomes simple again. Not because all your problems vanish, but because your relationship with them changes. You no longer see challenges as obstacles, but as invitations. You no longer measure worth by what you achieve, but by how present you are with what is. You stop trying to control life and start dancing with it, gently, gracefully, like a leaf carried by the wind. This is freedom, not the freedom to have whatever you want, but the freedom to love whatever is. The peace beyond understanding. True peace is not found when the world becomes quiet. It's found when you do. It's the calm in your chest even while the storm rages. It's the soft yes that whispers inside you, even when life says no. It's the unshakable knowing that no matter what comes or goes, the essence of who you are cannot be harmed. This peace doesn't depend on circumstances. It comes from recognition. The recognition that you are the witness, not the event, the sky, not the storm, the ocean, not the wave. Once you taste that stillness, nothing external can truly disturb you again. The story of the burning candle. A disciple once asked his teacher, "Master, what is enlightenment?" The teacher lit a candle and said, "This flame burns silently, without haste, without fear. It gives light, even as it consumes itself." "Does the flame suffer?" asked the disciple. The teacher smiled. "Only when it forgets that its nature is light." The candle doesn't resist its burning. It fulfills its purpose by shining. So too, when we live with awareness, we stop fearing the changes that shape us. We understand that every ending is part of illumination, living in harmony. Harmony does not mean that life becomes perfect. It means that you become aligned with life's rhythm. You stop fighting what is and begin to move with it. Like a dancer who no longer counts the steps, you start to move effortlessly with the music. You begin to notice the beauty in every note, even the minor ones, even the silences in between. When you live this way, every moment, even the painful ones, becomes sacred. The gentle awakening. Many imagine awakening as a grand explosion of light, but for most, it is soft, like the slow unfolding of dawn. It's not about becoming extraordinary. It's about becoming authentic. Not about reaching some distant heaven, but returning to the heaven of this very moment. Awakening is remembering that you were never separate from the divine, never apart from love, never less than whole. It is the realization that the sacred has always been here, in the breath, in the silence, in the eyes of everyone you meet, the path of everyday enlightenment. You don't have to go to a monastery to awaken. You don't have to meditate for years in solitude. You can awaken washing dishes, tending a garden, holding a child, listening to the rain. Every act done with full presence becomes prayer. Every moment touched by awareness becomes divine. Spirituality is not a path of escape. It's a path of intimacy with life. The Buddha never promised a life free from pain. He offered a way to meet pain with understanding. He didn't teach people to run from the world, but to see the sacred in it. That is the real enlightenment. Not somewhere else, but right here. The return to love. When all the searching ends, what remains is love. Not the romantic love that clings or fears, but the love that simply is. Unconditional, quiet, vast. It doesn't demand. It doesn't exclude. It doesn't judge. It sees the divine in all things, the wounded and the whole, the shadow and the light. When you live from this love, forgiveness becomes natural, compassion effortless, and joy spontaneous. You no longer seek love because you are love. You become the sunlight that warms others simply by being. The story of the lotus. The lotus grows in muddy water, yet its petals remain pure. It rises above the darkness not by rejecting it, but by transforming it. That is the secret of the awakened heart. It doesn't avoid pain. It uses it. It doesn't deny imperfection. It embraces it. The mud is not an obstacle to the lotus. It's the foundation of its beauty. In the same way, the challenges of your life are not mistakes. They are the soil from which your wisdom blooms. So instead of asking for a life without mud, learn to grow like the lotus, unshaken, radiant, free. The light you carry. As your awareness deepens, you begin to realize something profound. You are never walking this path alone. Every smile, every kindness, every act of compassion you've ever offered, they've all been guiding lights for others. The love you've given has not disappeared. It lives in the hearts of those you've touched, spreading in ways you'll never see. That's the power of an awakened soul. It doesn't seek recognition. It shines quietly, like the moon reflecting the sun's light on a. As the heart awakens, life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a song, sometimes soft, sometimes stormy, but always meaningful. You realize that the goal was never perfection. It was presence. You start to live without constantly trying to fix, prove, or achieve. You simply show up, open, aware, alive. And the miracle is, when you stop trying to control everything, things begin to flow in harmony. People come and go as they're meant to. Opportunities unfold without force. Peace arises without effort. You begin to trust life again, trusting the flow. There is an invisible rhythm guiding everything, the same rhythm that makes the tides rise and fall, that pulls the moon across the sky, that makes your heart beat without you telling it to. That rhythm is wisdom itself. When you align with it, you stop pushing the river. You start flowing with it. Even when storms come, you no longer fear them. You understand that the river is still the river, even when it rages. And when it calms again, it carries you forward with a deeper knowing. Trust doesn't mean you will never feel doubt. It means you will not let doubt close your heart. The dance of life. Everything in life is a dance of opposites, joy and sorrow, gain and loss, birth and death. We call one good and the other bad, but in truth, both are steps in the same sacred dance. Without night, we wouldn't know the beauty of dawn. Without loss, we wouldn't understand love. Without endings, there could be no beginnings. The awakened person does not cling to one or run from the other. They dance with both, gracefully. And through that dance, they discover freedom, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. Freedom beyond desire. Most of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from what we demand of life. We want things to be different, people to be different, ourselves to be different. But the moment we stop demanding and start allowing, peace enters. You don't need to chase happiness. When you stop running, it catches up to you. Freedom is not about having everything you want. It's about no longer being controlled by wanting. When desire no longer drives you, compassion begins to guide you, and that is where true freedom lives. Simplicity. As awakening deepens, life becomes simpler. You start to need less, fewer possessions, fewer distractions, fewer explanations. You stop chasing intensity and start appreciating quiet. You stop seeking validation and start trusting your own knowing. You begin to measure wealth not by what you own, but by how peaceful your heart feels. This simplicity is not poverty. It is abundance without excess. It is clarity without noise. It is joy without reason. The story of the empty boat. A monk was crossing a river when another boat crashed into his. He shouted in anger until he saw that the other boat was empty. At that moment, his anger vanished. He realized that most of the time when people hurt us, they are like that empty boat, carried by their own currents of pain, fear, and confusion. The awakened heart doesn't take things personally. It sees that people act from their own conditioning, not out of malice, and in that understanding, compassion becomes effortless, peace as presence. Peace is not something you achieve, it's what remains when you stop fighting with life. It's what arises when you stop needing to be right, to win, to be seen. It's what fills the space when the noise of judgment fades. Peace is not passive. It's powerful. It allows you to act with clarity instead of reactivity, to speak from truth instead of ego, to live from love instead of fear. When you live this way, even chaos cannot shake you, because peace has become your home. To be continued. Final part. Below. Fan 8-8, Ket. Awakening does not mean escaping the world. It means walking through it with open eyes and an open heart. It's being fully human, laughing, crying, failing, loving, but doing it all consciously. You no longer seek a perfect life. You simply live life perfectly as it is. Every breath, every mistake, every miracle, all of it becomes sacred. The path of service. When you awaken, your life stops being just about you. You begin to feel a quiet call, to serve, to help, to bring light wherever there is darkness. Not because you're trying to be good, but because compassion has become your nature. You realize that the purpose of your own healing is to help heal the world, that your peace contributes to the collective peace, that your awakening ripples outward, touching hearts you may never meet. You become a candle that lights others, and yet loses nothing of its own flame. Living as love. At the deepest level, awakening reveals one truth: everything is love. The love that creates, sustains, and transforms all things. The love that moves through pain and joy alike. The love that looks out through your eyes and through the eyes of every being you meet. To live as love is to live without fear. To live without fear is to live fully. And in that fullness, life becomes luminous, ordinary and miraculous all at once. Returning to stillness. At the end of every journey, there is silence. Not emptiness, but completion. The silence after a song ends, where its beauty still lingers in the air. The stillness after the storm, when the world feels newly washed. That silence lives within you. It has always been there, waiting beneath the noise of becoming. When you rest in it, you realize you were never lost. You were only dreaming. The final understanding. Everything changes, yet nothing is lost. Every ending carries a new beginning. Every wound hides wisdom. Every life, no matter how brief, leaves light behind. You are not the story your mind tells. You are the awareness witnessing it. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. You are not separate from life. You are life itself, forever flowing, forever free. And that realization, simple, wordless, eternal, is awakening, a closing blessing. May you walk gently upon this earth. May you love deeply, forgive easily, and see clearly. May you trust the rhythm of life, even when it leads you into mystery. And may you remember, always, that peace is not somewhere else. It is here. It is now. It is you. Thank you for walking this path. If these words touched your heart, share them, breathe them, live them, because when one heart awakens, the whole world becomes brighter.